Good afternoon, everyone. Or actually, good morning, everyone. We're an hour earlier here for UTC today for our live show. So a big shout out to everybody joining us this morning here from a pretty gloomy and cold London as we head into Christmas. A big shout out to you all and also everybody that's going to be watching this on catch up. How are we doing? We've had that lovely corrective move that everybody was absolutely begging for recently, yet if you turn on the socials, anybody would think that things have really gone to pieces. So what are we going to do? We're going to do what we always do. We're going to strip away the noise. We're going to look at the charts, and we are just going to see where we are, what's ahead of us, what setups we can possibly be looking at, and we are going to pour at least 45 minutes into this show and look at every alt that we possibly can that you guys want us to take a look at. So, got BTC on here, had a lot of people that were asking about the BTC play, how I came up with the level, why I was looking at that level, why I expected the breakdown, which I didn't necessarily expect the breakdown. So I just want to kind of run through that with you. I mean, often good analysis, and that isn't saying that this analysis is good. Obviously I back it. It's systems that I've used for a long time. But what I'm saying is often when you see good analysis, people will look back and say like you got some kind of crystal ball. It's not. It's just having conviction in the levels that we expect to see price react. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And I really want to just strip all of this away and make this just as absolutely simple for you guys as possible. All right. So let's have a look. Let's start by getting rid of all of this. And good morning, mammoths. Oh, who have we got here? Skimmy Foro from Portugal. Hello, mate. Wonderful. Dear friend of mine and one of the best algo traders I've ever known. A chap called Pedro, or Pedma7, you'll know him from Twitter, is out in Portugal. He's a full-time Portugueser, one of my favorite people in the world and one of the brightest individuals I've ever met. And I am absolutely getting myself out to Portugal next year. Zero question about that. I'm also a huge golf fan. So another mass appeal for me out there in your beautiful country. ZX Robin, hello, mate. Our wonderful Erica. How are we all doing this morning? How are we doing? Things starting to fill up a little bit slower this morning. My fault. Need to bring this forward an hour today, so I'm actually on a very rare bit of leave for me this week. But you never ever leave these markets, and when you've got a community as amazing as ours, then it's really difficult to leave. In truth, maybe it's an addiction, etc. But it is what it is. To quote my wonderful Polish friends, yes, Diak, yes. What have we got here? Crypt. Okay. Well, let's have a look, Crypto Panzer, shall we? That is certainly an interesting one to me, new to me, but like we said, we focus on the price action here. We're not overly concerned by the ticker. We leave that to our wonderful fundamental team. Let's have a look. Yeah, so sorry, ZX Robin, I didn't even see your question on here, my friend, but obviously Eric has popped that on there. So we're going to focus on smashing all the alts and bits and pieces out, but as a member of our wonderful community, then you can, when I'm back next week, we'll absolutely deep dive into as much of the educational stuff as you would like, my friend, as much as you would like. So anyway, while the others trickle in, let's kind of run through the thoughts on Bitcoin. I had loads of awesome messages from you guys, which was really great. And a lot of it was down to this post that I put out here. And it kind of looks really simple now. I want to kind of break things down and show you how I kind of overlay the confluence of support and resistance, because a lot of people associate me with ICT style trading. I was part of Michael's original core mentorship, actually. Which I found really, really useful and helpful. I don't kind of buy into the whole, there's one giant algorithm that controls the world kind of thing, but I do know from a lot of experience and a lot of traditional market trading and some of the best traders in the world that I'm fortunate to know that, algorithms do very much control these markets, right? So it's one of those things, right? A lot of those concepts that you'll learn in there, you get the ICT purists and stuff like that. It's just price action, guys. You'll learn it off everyone from Larry Williams all the way through. And basically, we're looking at things like support and resistance. So it's something that I very rarely kind of share on these shows because I'm trying to go through actionable setups. But I do really want to show you about these levels. Let's have a look. Man, let's see what triggers to play out for looking for longing subs. Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll cover a very quick bit of this at the end, right? Okay, so triggers. Let's have a look. And really good question there. Cash Alchemist, brilliant name. Advice for becoming a better trader. Honestly, it sounds really, really shilly, I know, but I would join. I would find a very good community. Obviously, I would highly recommend our own over at the Bird Nest, and I would just put an incredible amount of work into your craft. And the same thing that I say to everyone, be it someone that comes to the community, be it people reaching out for free advice or private mentoring students that I have, you have to understand what type of trader you are and what type of trader you can be. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that if you're somebody that has, a busy family life, a busy work life, lots of commitments in that respect, then you're probably not going to be an intraday trader. You're probably not going to be sitting down, like I do, for example, one of my area of kind of key specialty, although I've moved much more into swings at the moment because of the market conditions. But, intraday wise, I'll sit down, I'll chart everything up in the mornings, and then I'll sit down for sometimes 5, 6, 8 hours a day on these charts, looking for different opportunities to take intraday trades or very low time frame scalps, meaning in and out within a day. That doesn't really sound like something you can bring, if it doesn't, sound like something you can really bring to the day. Then think about swing trading and position trading or investing. Look more into the fundamental side of it, right? That's why, as a trading community at the Bird Nest, and if you're interested in anything about this, you can find all the stuff down in the description. But that's why, as a trading community here, like what I've popped up on the screen here, look, this is one of the best things, in the world for me, is seeing people come in and grow. And a lot of this is down to making them understand their place in trading, right? It's no good. If you've got all the time in the world, great, apply that and find out what suits your personality. For example, I made my career as a swing trader, but it came at a great cost. I suffered with great anxiety. I was really struggling to sleep at night. My work-life balance went completely off a cliff because I found myself very anxiously waiting up for these swing trades. Now, when you get a lot more experience in the market, you learn to control those emotions. But as a new trader, it's really difficult for me. So I decided that I found a lot of comfort in being able to, open and close trades the same day. So that basically, for want of a better term, when I left the office or when I closed the desk down, that was it. I was done, right? And like we can see here, just on one of these testimonials, obviously we've got hundreds of these guys. So I'm not going to sit here and shill it to you. Just, go and check it out. But what I would say is a really, really huge thing to success is finding consistency. And the best way you can do that is find an area to specialize in and go very, very deep. Stop trying to do everything okay. Focus on doing something incredibly well. Yeah. So what I'm going to show you today, for example, is something that reaches out hopefully across that kind of realm. So how you can find key buying and selling areas. And then we will take a very quick look at some low time frame triggers as well for Mammoth here. So we can show you how these kind of things would play out. But as for your question on here, Cash Alchemist, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else, find a really good community, find the type of trader you want to be, make sure that community has professional traders with a transparent P&L, education services where you can learn the systems that those traders have used for years to be profitable. For example, we publish our profit and loss every single month, every week. Members get access to those calls and they get access to our entire P&L for every month and every year. There's nowhere to hide. If you want to learn how to trade or to invest or how to do fundamentals, that's the kind of community that you want to look for. And then obviously, typically those kind of communities then build really, really, really good people underneath them who then help support that community. And basically you end up in a very kind of non-toxic, very welcoming, very vibrant community that therefore, promotes learning. And that's what I would say on that front. Jojo, how we doing, mate? Carlos A, can DOT reach the last bull price? I don't know. Let's take a look, shall we? I haven't taken a look at DOT for a while. Hope so, give you BT on your holiday. Yeah, of course it is, mate. Of course it is. Mr. Sledge, how are we doing, my friend? And what's my typical daily routine? So I wake up in the morning, I smash down 2 or 3 cups of tea. While I look over the charts, I've already got a hot list of key assets that I'm looking for. I'm then going through the news to look at news catalysts for the day. One of the things that I'll certainly always do is check out traditional markets as well. And by that, I mean, what is going on with, regular markets. This sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But, legacy markets, basically. Like, look at this. So like today, for example, if I'm intraday trading, I've got any positions open, I'm very aware that in the US today that we have core CPI month-on-month, CPI and month-on-month and CPI year-on-year, consumer price index. This is telling us basically the cost of living for people. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? As we can see last time in the forecast, the previous was 0.3. They've kept it 0.3, 0.2 to 0.3. So slight increase there, 2.6 to 2.7%. So they're, forecasting a little bit, but not too much. If those figures miss by a lot and show that it's much more difficult or much more expensive for people to live, that can constrict the markets. All right. It is live indeed, Vensu, my friend. You're very welcome, Cash Alchemist. Jojo Lee, what have we got here? More of a swing trader because it suits me. I feel less stressed. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. Find out what it is. If it's stressing you out, if it's causing you a nightmare, just just find another way around it. You can do fundamentals, you can do positions, you can start learning about tokenomics, you can learn about market cap, projects stepping into the space. One of the great things I love about the team that we have at the Bird Nest, right, is we've got traders that are covering fundamentals, people that are covering swing, position trading. You've got someone like Crypto Bird with, a CMT level 3, for Christ's sake. That's a chartered market technician level 3. Very few people hold that qualification worldwide. So drawing on that whole pool of knowledge is really, really good. No audio. Oh, God, I hope not. Can anybody else confirm if the audio is still working? Have you got the audio okay? Let me know, ladies and gents. Just going to flick back to the chart. Hopefully the latency isn't too much of a problem either. At least give me a chance to sip some tea anyway before I blabber on to you about charts in the next kind of 30, 40 minutes. Just want to check you guys can see the Bitcoin chart at the moment. It's working. Okay. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, Cash Alchemist, you can watch this later. If you go to the Birb Nest, BIRB, you can find everything down in the description. If you go onto the YouTube channel for the Birb Nest, you go under the live tab, this will be there for you to be able to watch as well. They're all public and they're all free. Thank you so much, everyone, for confirmation. Yeah, sometimes we do get a little bit of a lag from YouTube, unfortunately. Anyway, that's all we're going to go through today. We'll cover some triggers. If you've got anything else you want to take a look at, we've got CRIP, we've got DOT at the moment as well. Going to take a look at DEAI, which is kind of a long-term play for us over here as well. Might even take a look at Telcoin, just because I know that Alex site. Good old Chris, our FA guy. Going to take a look at WIF as well, I think, because, this is something that I'm positioned in as well. So I just want to take that. Exactly this. Yeah, VPN might be lagging you out there as well. Or obviously, if you are on your yacht in the British Cayman Islands, then that could also be an issue. So looking at this here, it's just really, really, really simple for me. I'm a simple creature. I try and keep everything simple. So what is this? We're just looking at key areas of resistance, key areas of support. Okay, so if we just take a look at this here, and let me show you, right? So look at all these areas here, right? These are all just resistance, resistance, resistance. What happens when we flip this area? Support, right? Really, really key basic support and resistance flips. Resistance, 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 resistance. Still resistance, right? Then we get into this situation here, right? And then we get this deviation. What happens? Price gets back underneath. Now we're saying to ourselves, all right, well, this is kind of resistance until proven otherwise here. Okay. Now, the flip side to this, just get rid of these. So the flip side to this is then we want to know, okay, we'll look at the mid of this range. Yeah. So you don't want to ignore this. Look at what about this wick? What about this wick? This wick? You see how, look at the down wicks and then look, so look at these and then look at the ones going up. Then try and find an area where they cross over. one of the mistakes people make, or not a mistake, because I do it, I show it on the charts as well, just because it keeps the charts a lot cleaner, is that, you know, people are using lines and they're trying to find that perfect line. And actually on here, there pretty much is a perfect line, actually. But it really works more as boxes and areas, right? You're looking for absorption from the wicks. But look, support, resistance, support, support. So, you know, you probably want to be a buyer in and around these levels here, right? So the other thing that we want to look at here as well is take our Fibonacci. Where's this reacting? Yeah, look at this. This whole area here, this pocket, the 618 to the 66, the golden pocket or the golden ratio, however you want to look at it, and the 705 down to the 79. What I keep off of this, which I use a lot on my other charts, here's the 0.75, which is a really key level, because what we're doing ultimately is we're breaking these into ranges, all right? So let me show you here. Let's do this one. There we go. Yeah, so you're looking at this cluster here, and look how well that kind of area there provides support. You look at it for a projection up to here as well, because you're basically breaking it down into quarters, and all you're finding are these key areas, all right, that you want to see a reaction. So what does it mean? Well, it just means that I wanted to be a buyer here, right? So we took some long positions out here. Just Pitt, really good friend of mine, amazing trader, one of our trading team at the Nest, caught some unbelievable scalps from down here, right? Just play knowledge. And in fact, I got left sidelines by a few of them as well, because I wasn't really open for taking these intraday at the moment, because I'm not full-time at my desk at the minute. I'm looking more for swing positions. So for me, what I'm looking for here is something like this. That's what really appeals to me at the moment. Here's the deviation. Yeah. So we want to take this level here. We want to see a bit of low time frame consolidation above this. And then I think we're really going to start to rip. And the key target for me is this 104.601. Look at this massive wick to the highs and the lows, basically creating our inside bar pattern, right? Which I think if we go to here, we can see the playbook that we've had in place for this from the swing perspective, right? So, you know, looking at the key areas of support and resistance, but looking at this in a different way as well. This is the mother bar pattern, large candle with the other candle with inside its range, meaning it doesn't exceed its high or low, makes an inside bar pattern. What does that do? Well, it gives us a range within a range. Inside bar low, inside bar high provides our range. Mother bar high, mother bar low there. And this for me is a key support and resistance area as well, which aligns with our other chart. Okay, but this one's just shown as a line. Like I say, it's one of those things, as you get more experience, you'll realize that it's kind of the area is much more of a box. However, I don't like it to be that obtrusive on the charts. So what does it mean? Well, okay, you're going to have to forgive just some intraday plays from yesterday. So let me just clean this up a little bit here. There we go. So really simple, just applying the same principles on here, right? So what I was saying was you can see the absorption from these wicks, right? That's what's capping the market here. So you want to see price get itself back above this and move higher, or you want to see price hold below like this model here and it moves lower. So shorts from here into these lows, retest of this, shorting down into these lows. Now, my belief was that we were going to come and take out this low here. And actually the fact that we didn't shows a lot of strength here from Bitcoin, because, you know, this is an hourly chart. So that right there has taken a 15-minute low, excuse me, which was this low here. Yeah, took out that low, came below this level here. That's the deviation. Yeah, that's the structure. That's where we shifted structure. This is the perfect retest here. Yeah. Oh, this is a high time frame inversion. This has been supporting the market. Let me show you quickly. All the way through here. So bearish inversion, closed above support, 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 support. All right. So that is what we're looking for. So these are just the same principles we're now going to overlay onto our other charts. And then we're going to look for our gaps. We're going to look for our liquidity sweeps in order to allow us to be buyers or sellers. So, mammoth. All right. So you've got a few beasts on there. I'll see if we can get through as many as possible, but I'll write a few of them down here. So ENS, Doge, Woo, and Render. I'll see how many of those I can get through for you, my friend, but not sure if it's me, but I think BTC is still stronger. Well, I mean, look at it. It's all right. yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, really. I think it's okay. Let me go back to this chart here for a minute. Look, I think the issue for me now is that I don't really want to be longing into this resistance here, yeah? So look at what happens. When price kind of comes into this, we see rejections, rejection, rejection, rejection. Note how the rejections look, yeah? Notice how they're very kind of sharp, yeah? V-shaped recoveries. Notice how price kind of just consolidates a little bit, yeah, when it comes into them. Even these parts here. When you get above, happy to take intraday longs here, here, even here, right? I just want to see for those long sweeps. I want to see a reason to get involved in the market. So here, I don't mind because we're coming into an order block. I prefer this one here as a long play. Yeah. In here, I quite like this one as well because it was an untested order block. So when price dipped into this here, we took local liquidity. That was a nice long setup as well. We just want to overlay that confluence, yeah? Then when we lose this area here, this is where I'm looking to go short, all right? Because let's just highlight this section here for a minute. Even if we ignore this at the moment, which I think would be a fool's errand to do so, there's a couple of things in here that I find really, really interesting, all right? Which is this bearish gap. Let's change this a little bit, actually. Make that a darker. Actually, why not? Let's make it a lighter color, right? Now, for whatever reason, that light blue there is representing resistance from these wicks. Why? Because when we come into this area previously, what have we done? Yeah, rejection, price sells off. Rejection, price sells off. Are we going to see the same here? What do we need to see for that not to happen? Well, quite simply, we want to look at this area as a box. Now, all right, let's just do it like this very quickly. So red, I'm going to do this in gray, right? You'll normally see my gaps as gray, right? It's the gap between these three candles here, known, well, as a gap or a fair value gap, for example. And the idea of those is that they are, you know, we're looking at them as resistance until proven otherwise, okay? That's why I said, and you can go back and check my Twitter, bearish gap here, resistance until we do what? Until we close above it, which we did with this candle, in which case we then invert this gap. All right. And then we look for longs off of it, but only to local resistance, right? We don't want to be longing, you know, here, because we've got a lovely scalp trade from here to here, position secure, stops flat, step away, happy. Now, for me, if I want to take any early stage plays here, now remember, this is a daily chart. This big kind of grayish greeny box is our daily chart. So on a daily scale, we need to close above that on the daily. Then we look for pullbacks. Then we look to go long. Until we get that, we know if we're employing the daily time frame that that's still a very treacherous area to be long. However, if I wanted to get a little bit aggressive with this, I'd be happy to long to there on the premise that we obviously flip this from resistance to support. So strong close above here, you see price consolidate. Then I want to see this, right? And this here is where I'd be happy to go long. And I'll tell you for why, because at that point, we would have done a few things. One, we would have flipped an area of resistance to support. So that will go purple, just like we did here, yeah? And then we've also flipped this area here from resistance to support. So let's put that green. Now look what we've got. We've got this whole kind of area here stacking up. You might say, yeah, but BC, you just said you're longing into high time frame resistance. I am, but I'm looking down within that for the microstructure. And what I'm saying is if you dip back to a daily chart, then we could easily wick up to here and reject. What I'm saying is that the chances are high that if we conquer both these levels of resistance, that price is going to hunt at least the next low time frame liquidity, in this case, the hourly, because we can switch onto a daily chart here. And just as this shows, yeah, that whole move up to take liquidity there could very, very easily just be this, right? Could just be this candle heading up and then a big wick that goes up to here, comes back down. We still close under here and we could still face rejection, all right? So that's the thoughts on Bitcoin. So still need to show a little bit of caution here, in my opinion. The scalps to be taken were from down here. We've now kind of let that play out. So let's see where we are. Okay, so we've ripped through that. Let's do a chart top to bottom. And in fact, let's just look at this CRIP chart first of all. No offense, brother, but I don't know if you're kind of shilling this in the chat or if you're really, really interested in seeing it. But I'm guessing it's probably a shill in the chat because I certainly can't find it on here. If you do have a ticker, mate, and you are still listening, then let me know and I'll take a look for it. But apart from that, maybe it was just someone enthusiastically suggesting a project in the comments. You do get it. Let's have a look. Where are we here? Let's take a look at DOT, shall we? Actually, let's take a look at the spot contract. Right, so first things first, look what I'm doing here. I'm on a daily chart. What am I looking for here on the daily chart? Well, the first thing I'm doing is I focus on recency, which Erica, I know who's in the chat with us, will have a little chuckle. So I remember at Congress, I think the first ever one I did about 3 years ago with TBM. And I was saying how recency is such a big thing for me. And then we had this really amazing trader on who I have an infinite respect for. And they basically just said, recency is just absolute nonsense. But, it's all in context, guys. It's all in context because for them, the system's the way that they were looking at it. It meant that, but doesn't mean that it's, that it's that across the board. So as I'm looking at this here, right, I can look at something like that, and then I'm going to adjust this a bit because I'm just using the information that I've got in front of me, right? Now, I really like that. Why? Because we've got an area of rejection here. Yeah, and then we've got support here. We've also got this big, beautiful gap here, all right, the price just dipped into once, twice, and then it caused that really big pump. Now, the next thing that we can look at here would be this kind of area, all right? And then look what happens. So this is what we're dealing with the recency, right? Because normally, XLM, skimmy 40, I can indeed, my friend. Let me have a look. XLM. Yeah, so now I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, well, where's the key area that I really want price to get above? Here is kind of here, really, these wicks. So we're kind of trapped in this area, all right? So if we look at this, I know I've gone on Dog here rather than Dot, by the way, which is really interesting because Pitt's been calling some really amazing trades on this. So we'll cover this one free of charge. This is kind of more of a TA lesson, right? You're looking at the area, you're looking at your gaps, you're looking at your support and resistance flips. If you take these kind of areas and you draw them back, you'll often find that they have some kind of confluence. Yeah, not necessarily the cleanest here. This is kind of a deviation, but ultimately price got back underneath here and then sold off. All right. You could probably say the same with this here. Rejection, deviation, retest, sells off. All right. But, I'm also just kind of looking in and saying, what's the most recent thing that's happened in here, which is where we get those flips. So let's go on to the actual DOT chart, shall we? And now we're going to kind of look at this and say, okay, well, where are we here? Okay, immediately look at these upside wicks here, and then look at the downside wicks here. Even just this one, these long absorptions coming out of gaps. What I would then be looking at is saying, like, okay, we got any more confluence? Like, this is a bit of a larger area, but you see this wick here? If I kind of focus on that and I draw it back to here, see how I've come into, let me zoom in a bit. I've then come into these wicks here, right? So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to look at this as an area and say, okay, well, if I anchor to the top of those, and then I'm focused on this area here because that's the information that I've got, yeah? And I want to make sure that I get as many touch points on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah? Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That little touch didn't lead to much, but then that drop and the rejection. So I know that when I'm down in this area, I'm only looking for longs on DOT. The other thing I really like here is that we've got a gap low. I think we've actually left equal lows here. So there is a chance that we might flush them before we move up further. Let's just have a look at here. The lows, 552. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. 550 on here. So maybe we did come in. So we want to get rid of that. It's not equal lows, which is even better, which means that we've had a liquidity sweep here, which is exactly what I want to see. And a really strong reaction, right? A really, really strong reaction. Price just literally tagged this low within our area of support. Also, look at this beautiful bullish gap here as well. Now, what's drawing price higher here is this bearish gap. And we don't know the purpose of this yet. What we know is that that's providing a draw on price. The market likes to do this. Look what happens. Price moves higher, rebalances a gap, moves higher, rebalances a gap, moves higher, no gaps in here, so it heads lower and it just trickles down into the bottom of this. Like I say, it takes that out very marginally. So again, these are the areas we want to be looking for those long setups. All right. You can take the Fibonacci's from here as well. If you look at the most recent expansion leg higher, Again, we've got those key areas. We can see we've got that reaction here, right? So all of these things are just adding a little bit of confidence. So, okay, so where do we go from here? Well, I'm then going to move down really to focus here on a 1 hour, and I want to know where the key resistance is and the key support. And actually through here, you can start to see this area emerge. If you kind of take a line here and you draw it on, you can see, okay, you've got this kind of support here, resistance cluster through here. So resistance, support, support. This area gets a little bit messy here, but actually as you look forward, yeah, look what happened. Price comes off, a huge sell-off, gets above, retests, comes underneath, retests here, takes local liquidity, underneath, underside retest, sells off, resistance. Now we're back above this here. We've kind of got this little level here to push up on. And I think that these equal highs here are providing a really, really key target. So looking at it in that respect, I think that's where price is drawing to at the moment. And then we need to see how price reacts here. We need to remember that this area here, yeah, is resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so what I'd like to see for continuation here is a strong breakout above here. Yeah, little consolidation, price to sweep some liquidity. Then I think we can kind of move up from there. So that's what I'd be thinking about in regards to dots. Let's take a look. Sorry, let me just look back through a couple of your questions just while I take some tea. Okie doke. So, going to take a look at Telcoin right now. Our fundamental wizard, Mr. Chris Crypto Assessor, has been going absolutely potty about this for ages. And to be honest, I wish I'd listened to him more. Not that I don't listen, there's just so many opportunities in this market, right? So what am I looking at here? On the daily, we just have a big daily bullish gap. Now, one of the reasons you want to look for liquidity sweeps and price tags into it, goes long, tags into it, goes long, tags into it again. But also notice how every time the gap is filled to here, right? So what happens here is we get a liquidity sweep, price runs, dips into an untapped part of the gap. What happens here? Price taps in to another untapped part of the gap here. So you can think of it like this. Excuse me, you can almost think of it as at that point, it had filled it to there. So this is your clean ground. Then when that gets tagged, fills it to here. Now what you'll notice is it's been completely refilled. However, we still know this is a key area. Why? Because everything's finding support here. So we can use this area and we can say to ourselves, all right, look, resistance here, resistance, resistance, yeah? You kind of drag this back before that gap was created. You've almost kind of got this area down to here as well, which provides this key kind of support and resistance area, yeah? Inclusive of the gap. So while we're here, we don't want to short. You don't want to, you really, really don't. This is kind of a key area. If I was to draw this as a box, I wouldn't take it all the way up as high as that. I would say for me, this is kind of the key wick, because if I was drawing this as a line and asking myself what's capping the market, saying that's the high that was first set that price has just not been able to kind of get past. So if I then use the principle of this, I could kind of say, okay, well, where do I want to see price back above? You know, I would say probably here that price can run to. Why? Because, you know, SC always echoes in my head from this, learned so much from that guy over the years, right? And that's the, you know, the wicks are what price tried to achieve, the bodies are what it actually achieved. Yeah. So, you know, if price has already pushed to here, these are the, if we did come up and we did start to look awful, unfortunately, with this, hang on, let me do it with this on the high time frames, right? We did that, you start to build some kind of consolidation here, right? This is the kind of thing that I'd be happy to long, but I'd be cautious as we get up to here. All right, I'd be treating this, you know, almost as a secondary range that was above it. So anyway, this is where we are with TEL. Now, if I drop down onto the lower time frames, I can see here that we started to build a nice base. We've come in, we've swept liquidity. Don't worry yourself too much on the, you know, the large wicks. You see these on slightly less liquid assets. But again, you can see rejection, 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 small deviation, price gets underneath. Where does it run? The range. I mean, basically what you're creating here is a range, yeah? If you come up and you look and you take this high, I mean, that's a really good high, actually. I really like this as a range here. to probably, I would say that one there, maybe. Yeah, why? Because that was the high here, drop down to that. This gives a really nice tight midline. And ultimately, you're just kind of building in these buffer zones with the boxes. But however you draw it, deviating range low and climbing back in, you long it to the midline. You wait for a reclaim of the midline and you long to the higher. Yeah. Deviation high to the mid, you wait for the mid to be lost and you short to the lows. All right. They're basic range trading principles. However you're drawing them out, it's all about finding the key areas of support and resistance. So now how can we stay in this? Well, we just need proof from the market that this thing's still willing to push up. So then we're looking for our gaps and we're looking for our order blocks. All right. Now, to protect price, yeah, to defend price. This is the support that I'm looking for price. And let me draw that up properly for you, actually, so you know it's a 4 hour. The higher the time frame, you know, the more weight that we give it. So what happened and why is this valid? Well, quite simply, as we did here, yeah, and those candles, when they're closed below, like happened here, turn into resistance. These are the areas we look to short. So price close below the body of that one here, short, short, short. Okay. Now what we're doing, we're looking for the opposite. If we're bullish, we're looking for the down close candles to offer support. Yeah. That one offered resistance, price sells off. Yeah. Here we're looking for support. Price closes above, support, support, support. You can see how it's starting to build it up. Then if you're looking for liquidity targets, well, quite simply, you have these big, beautiful wicks up here showing you where liquidity is resting. All right. And what we can see as you kind of draw these in is like, well, hang on a minute. There's one hell of a cluster of these here. All right. And you look at those, you can see why price is drawing up to there. This is a really big liquidity cluster here. What else is it? If we look left, we can see that we've got this bearish gap sat over it as well, drawing price higher. So on an intraday basis, be looking to kind of long this up to here. All right. Then I'd be looking for price to hold in here, show me some support above this kind of area, and then push even higher. Calvo, my friend, no problem. I know you got some crazy work stuff going on, mate. Brilliant to have you with us. We'll catch up with you soon. Yeah, Jojo as well. Good to see you as well, mate. Still cracking on and learning hard. Really good crew we've got over at the Birdnest. Members working really, really hard at the moment. That's what, you know, ultimately we all love to see, right? So do you see what I'm saying though, right? We know, look, long from here, we still favor shorts from here until we reclaim that, yeah? So in here, we can see what's drawing price higher. So then we just need to look for setups, okay? So now I'm going to show you some, to tie in with triggers, which was asked by one of the members earlier. We'll do it on a different chart. Again, Telcoin, one of those kind of investment-based charts spots. So it's not necessarily the best one when you look at the kind of liquidity in here. However, if I did want to trade this, quite simply, this is the order block. Yeah, I don't want to be a buyer here. I want to be a buyer here. All right. One of the best ways I would say for people to get involved in these markets, especially when you're new, is to start using your Fibonacci's. All right. When anything comes down below the 0.5 or comes down into kind of the golden pocket, the golden ratio, this is interested. What's very difficult about this move is we don't have a clear invalidation, right, which would have kept me out of taking this. But ultimately, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the market to move down first to catch people offside before I long. If I'm looking to short up first to take liquidity before I then short it lower. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some other assets, but just to kind of leave this with you on Telcoin, quite simply, look, we also need to factor in that it's lower lows and lower highs at the moment within here. We're still technically bearish on the 4 hour. We're now looking to shift structure different when we've got these really big kind of swing highs to overcome. However, as long as we hold this, then the chances are higher that we move up to the liquidity pool here. If we come back into this and we start closing below, then I'm going to say, okay, these liquidity targets then start to come into play. All right. But I was happy to accumulate some more TEL down here, just full transparency. All right. So with, take a look at our old friend with what are we going on here. Now, this is interesting, actually. I like this because this is the area, this is what we were looking at, right? So exactly the same principles here. This is so clean, right? So I bought down here again. I haven't done it yet, but I'm happy to accumulate some more here. This is just overlaying exactly the same principles that we discussed. I'm going to leave this on here. I know it looks a bit messy, but I want to show you why we highlighted that area and what our key principle was to go long here. So what do we got in here? Resistance, resistance, resistance. Yeah. What do we do? Close above it. Look at the big, strong body candle. That's what you want to see. When I talk about a strong close, this is what I mean. Look at the candles interacting with this area. Average body, long upside wick, absorption, goodbye. What's this? Wick, can't close above it, rejection, rejection, good night. Long wick, everything getting pushed down here. Then you see this big expansion above it, happy days. That's when we're saying support, 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 support. And it's still holding. If I just hide this one for a second, because this is a lower time frame, look, yeah? So this is where we want to be buyers, ladies and gents. And then we're asking ourselves for confidence. Like, remember what I said, we're looking for our gaps, right? We're looking for plays that line up with what we've been discussing. The market loves to refill these gaps. Think of this as an area, as an exchange of hold this area, buyers step in. If the buyers aren't stepping in here, yeah, the price closes below it, we treat it as a support resistance flip. And then we're saying, well, the buyers are lower. The buyers are below swing lows, yeah, or within bullish gaps. Simple as that, right? And also within order blocks. So when we look at this here and we say, oh, okay, actually, untested daily order block here. Yes, it's a large area, but it's a collection of consecutive down close candles. Price closed above it, and then look at the move that it led to. The other thing that makes it more high probability is the fact that it swept liquidity, both local and a raid on the liquidity that was left over here as well, okay? So that's where we want to long. But then you might say, yeah, but this box, we're kind of coming through this box. At some point, price was doing this, and, you know, it just made me absolutely cack my pants. But you don't know how it's going to close. That's why trading is a game of patience, because loads of people would short that and just get wrecked because then price comes back up, right? So just, it always sounds really simple, right? But just don't short into resistance, right? Don't short, sorry, into support, and don't long into resistance. Just think about where the buyers and sellers are, all right? So hopefully you see that's a really clean principle there. Now, if we move to the 4-hour chart, and actually let me put that box back on. Really sure where I got rid of that. Hang on. There it is. Because I think this here, as we move through, I know maybe a different time frame. Anyway, just looking for the confluence of why I had that green box there, I think probably on the hourly, but you can see here, look, on the 4-hour, look at the daily box here. Let's hide that for a second. Look at the 4-hour one, yeah? So this is obviously treated as a gap as well, but if we're looking at this as support and resistance, in the same principle we did our daily, resistance, support, 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 support. Yeah, all of these things lead to these nice pumps. So what happens when you close below it? You look at this area then to act as resistance, right? Like this. So we need to know now, is this a deviation? We see price come back above, and then we look to long it. Yeah, really, 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 really simple. As long as it holds below here, yeah, and we've got the bearish order block here, we're then looking for moves above, price to come back down below, and then this here would be our short trigger, right? To then trade it lower into liquidity resting below these lows. Really, really, really simple, but you have to have patience, right? When we looked at this the other day, this must have been from Monday's show, quite simply, and I think this was probably on the hourly. Let's have a look. What time frame we were on? Doubt very much it was a 15-minute. Maybe it was a 4-hour. I'm really not sure actually what time frame we've done that on. Let's have a look. Obviously going through some really rogue time frames, but the idea and the principle is the same. If we look at this on the 4-hour, the reason that we've highlighted this area is that we're actually looking for gaps, right? Be that on the hourly. If we look at this here, right, we attribute this to the hourly. It's an hourly gap. The reason that this is here and the reason that that squiggle is here, right, and that's a big squiggle, so it makes me think it's on a higher time frame, possibly like a higher daily chart, right? But either way, regardless, You don't want to just long these things, right? You might have a Fibonacci reading that tells you that this thing's going to moon, ridiculously from here, right? But at the end of the day, what you want to do is look for confluence. And for me, I'm just looking for these gaps. For example, right, look at this gap. Bearish gap here, right? Not the greatest drawn one in the world, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see it better. So what happens here? Yeah, we're in a downtrend. Why are we in a downtrend? Well, really, really simply, yeah, starting from here, what we got? Low, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, right? We got that beautiful downwards smudge pattern of where price is just getting crushed lower and lower and lower. Okay, so as we do that, what do we look for? Remember what I said to you. If you're in a downwards pattern, if we're selling off, if we're in a bearish trend, what are we looking for? Quite simply, we want to highlight the up close candles. Yeah, they want to defend the market. Did we close above these at any point? Absolutely not. What did price do? Sold off. So let's look at the next set of up close candles here. Did we close above those? No, we didn't. We just see price ultimately rejecting here. We then close down here, right? And we then form a bearish gap. So what then happens from here? Well, quite simply, price rejects the gap. If we closed above this here, then my assumption would be that we're pushing into this liquidity pool up here. But then what I'm going to do is look to the left and say, okay, do we have any key support and resistance here? Yeah, actually, this isn't. I quite like this here. Maybe like a little bit skinny on it because it's that wick, right? But actually, I think this kind of area here, if we take it up to the order block, yeah, it's quite a nice area. So resistance, yeah, we get the close above it, the retest, support, 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 still supporting here. Price closes below and ultimately then breaks down, all right? So just look for those key areas that you can see in there, all right? In terms of placing stop losses, for me, Cash Alchemist, if, for example, I was in here, and actually, this isn't a bad area, actually. Well, it's not the cleanest in the world, right? But if I was looking at this and I'm saying to myself, okay, what am I looking at in here? Let's say, okay, support and resistance area here, resistance, resistance, resistance. Sorry, support, 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 resistance, support, support. Then look at this. Remember, like I said to you, the whole market, the whole game is manipulation. That's the deviation. So then what do I want to see? I want to see price back above here, first of all, which we get here on a nice close, all right? And then quite simply, I can then look for these, right? The order blocks, this area here. So what's happened? Price then rips up above it. I then want to see these areas hold, right? So, go back to this. Yeah, I want to see these areas hold, and I want to see them give me a reason to step in long. Yeah, so quite simply, what have we got? There's the order block. Yeah, price rips above, comes into here. So what would I do here? To be a buyer in here, I'm going to take my Fibonacci out from the low to the high. I'm going to buy the golden pocket, which is here because it's also in line with my order block. It's also in line with my support resistance flip. Where do I know that I'm wrong? I know that I'm wrong below this low because this was the deviation that led to this pump. So if my theory is correct, that price is going to push higher, and in terms of targets, then I'm looking left over here and I'm saying, okay, that's probably my first position here, that really, really tall wick. Yeah, that here, because that caused a big rejection. But then I'm looking across and saying, okay, do we have any key support and resistance areas here? And you can see that high, that wick. All right, this kind of area here. Yeah. So then I'm saying, okay, well, as long as price comes into this area, and again, look what happens. I know that looks staged, right? But it really wasn't. Price closes above here, retest this and moves up. Doesn't give us a reason to start breaking down this trade here until we start to lose structure over here. All right. So that's what I would do in terms of setting stop losses and position base. Yeah, actually, Cash Alchemist, I haven't got time to go into that right now, mate, but I do have a course available for all the members on WAP. If you get an opportunity to go over there, if you are one of our members, if not, you can find out the information in the description down below. But I'll also run through this maybe on another session for you guys, maybe next week. Come and grab me on Monday on the session there if you can join in, and I'll happily gather it. But really, the key thing you want to look for is if you're in an uptrend, look at the down close candles, the bearish candles, wait for price to close above it. Yeah, then you want to see this area hold. If you're Yeah, so if you're in an uptrend, sorry, so if you're bullish, down close candles, price closes above, look at that support. If you're in a downtrend, then what you want to look for, right, excuse me, what you want to look for here are your singular or consecutive up close candles, yeah, to act as resistance. And then what you do is you monitor that on the way down, all right? And then you're looking for key changes in the state of delivery. So what's happening? Is that being respected? Ultimately, it is. When does it stop being respected? Here, and this is where we look for areas of mitigation, all right? So I'm just going to rip through a couple more, guys, and then we're going to call it a day. I think somebody asked for, let's go backwards from here, render. Let's look at this one. So, daily chart. Let's have a look what we've got on here and get rid of that. Start with a nice fresh chart. Okay, so key areas that I'm interested in here. Now, this actually looks a little bit messy in here, right? But I tell you what is good here. Looks like this. So focusing on recency, let's look at this, right? Because we can see quite clearly here as we look at these wicks. That's a really nice area of support. Now, if you drag these things back, typically they will have some kind of engagement. You see resistance here. So it probably goes a little bit deeper, maybe into this kind of area here, right? Simply lose this and then look at the liquidity resting down here. All right. You're very welcome, mate. But for now, I'm saying to myself, well, look, we're holding this area, so I'm expecting price to push up. Exactly the same principles as previously. We've got this bearish order block, sorry, bearish gap above us, right? However, we haven't set the bearish order block on the daily. These up close candles weren't closed below. So now price is drawing into this. It's done one of my favorite moves. It's wicked, swept liquidity from liquidity that's within a gap. Great liquidity pool. So this is the area that we want to be a buyer. Okay, fine. We've missed that move. So what does that mean for us from here? Well, if we now look at the 4 hour, remember what I was saying about your down close candles and your inversions, right? Bearish gap. What happened? We close above it here. We now expect it to offer support. Yeah, which it does. So now we've got that. The next thing that I'm looking at here is I'm saying, okay, can we confirm this 4 hour bullish order block? If we can, then, that's what I'm really interested here. We need to close that out in about 6 minutes. Close above that, which looks really likely. Then pullbacks here are for buying. If we start to break down, we lose this area, then that's when, ultimately we're going to look for things to move a little bit lower. Let's take a look at Woo. A lot of these things are going to look pretty similar at the moment. Again, look at all these consecutive up close candles in here. This is still an area of strength. One thing that I would do is taking this as the whole expansion leg higher. We can see how we've come into this perfect buy zone here for price. Now, the key thing with being involved at the extremities, meaning that if I want to be a buyer here, remember what I said, this is my area of interest. I'm then looking in here to say, okay, what's in here that should be interesting me? And quite simply, it's this big order block, right? So again, golden pocket, price dipping in. What do I want to do? I want to be a buyer down here. If I'm a buyer down here, it means that I'm already secure, meaning that if we come back down to take this out and I'm wrong because my stops would be below here, the swing low sat under here because that's where price dipped down, filled this gap, took off. Ultimately, if we start breaking down that much below this order block, then, the chances are that I'm wrong, okay? In which case, then you lick your wounds and you just move on. So looking at that there, we can see why that was a really good opportunity. Now, if I want some confirmation here, just as we looked at before, this is what's capping the market, is this bearish gap, right? I want to see price close above this and then use this area as support. Build a base. And then I think from here, we can move a little bit higher. Ideally you get in something intraday where you've got your risk below that swing low, and then you mitigate risk by moving your stops up there, because we haven't shifted structure yet on this time frame, right? Meaning that we still need to be cautious, because while we're bearish, we need to, on this time frame, we need to obviously respect the bearish arrays. Let's just time for 2 more, and then we're going to call it a day. So someone very kindly asked for XLM, didn't they? I think. Ooh. Let's have a look. Really favouring our friends over at Binance at the minute, but why not? Always very, very good to us. God, that was one hell of a consolidation, wasn't it? No wonder that thing just absolutely tore faces off. Okay, let's have a look. XLM, where are we? Not the greatest thing in the world, but I would say that this area here, is definitely of interest. The fact we've closed below this here makes me think that until we kind of have a little bit more of a convincing close back above it, yeah, I mean, very, very difficult to take that across. But if you do grab these, often you'll find that they'll have some kind of historical significance as well. Yeah. So not the cleanest, but look, basically that almost to a T. Resistance, resistance, support. All this area is resistance. Close above it, support, support, lose it, resistance, 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 resistance. God, this is a good level actually, right? Very, very, very clean. So, the boxes are always a little bit subjective. I always try and kind of, incorporate the wicks, the key wicks here. The fact that that closed below that here makes me think that this thing could still be looking to move a little bit deeper. Ultimately, we've still got this bullish gap defending price. And then from here, yeah, we want to see that kind of push up. I'm afraid we haven't got any more time for requests, guys. I'm afraid we're just going to cover Doge very quickly before we kind of call it a day. Now, as we're in here, we've taken the equal lows. Price is kind of reacting quite bullish from here on the daily. We want to see on here. Let's have a look. Yeah, Aussie. So what I'm going to try and do is I think I'm probably going to jump on. We're back to normal tomorrow when I'm back from leave. I'm probably going to jump on and just do a little session for members tomorrow, probably round about kind of lunchtime. All right, we'll jump in. So if you are around, Aussie, be a little bit earlier for you than typical as well. Yeah, I'm on holiday, but you never really truly on holiday in this game, right? And also it's my pleasure to do it. I'm going to be looking at some setups tomorrow, so why not get the members involved as well? This is really interesting. Very quickly, we've got this inversion here. Price closes above. Beautiful. Treats it as support. What else have we got that I absolutely love? Because we got this bullish gap. So how do we overlay these points of context or confluence? I'm just going to drag that out a bit more here. Really simple. If this is our high time frame level that we've seen very accurately offer support all the way through here, this should be resistance. However, we've seen this strong reaction and price coming back up into here, and it's giving us lower time frame confluence that price is looking to push higher. However, it's not quite enough yet, right? Yes, we've had in terms of microstructure, we've had the break here because we've got a higher low. Now we've got a higher high. So this can push up from here. If I was being super bold, I would look to take some kind of intraday scalp from here, but we never kind of drew deep enough down into this box. All right. So now I'm saying, okay, well, what do I want? Well, if this base is going to hold, I've got a rule. If we close back down below here, violating this bullish gap and violating this inversion, price is weak. And then intraday, I'm after this, and then probably deeper. All right. However, as we continue to hold this, I'm not saying I'm willing to go long here yet because this is still resistance until proven otherwise. We need to see a daily close back above it. But this big old gap here should be rejecting price. So patience, either wait for the daily reclaim of this level. Yeah. So remember, on a daily scale, close back above here, showing some strength. Remember, we got this daily gap here as well, drawing price higher, so we do need to be careful. However, in these kind of bullish conditions, if we're really going to have this resurgence here, then, if we do get this close above on the 4 hour, then my play is to look for price to consolidate a bit above this area. Take that sweep, almost kind of create that low time frame range, look for that, accumulation, deviation, expansion. All right, that's how I would play that. Sure, stay for you, Calvo, no problem at all, my friend. Jojo, that'll probably be good for you as well, wasn't it? Jesse, hello, mate. I'm really sorry. It's been an hour earlier today, so you've just come in at the end of the stream. Hopefully that's something to look at. Let's finish up on Doge. Yeah, one of my long-term bags. Let's get you a nice clean chart up here, shall we? There we go. So one more top down, right? And then we are going to go. It is a very special person in my life's birthday today. One of my favorite people in the world. So I'm going to go over and see them. And yeah, and then tomorrow we're going to get ourselves back and we are going to crush some charts together. All right. So if you're not already a member, make sure you go and grab yourself some kind of access. Come over and join us for a few hours of charting tomorrow. Guys, you're very, very welcome. Apologies if I've missed any of your comments. Trying to just get as much done as possible today. This is interesting. Immediately as I see this, I can just see a rising channel. It's not like the cleanest thing in the world. I think I would favor bodies for this. Something like this, I think. I mean, the wicks are so clean on that. That's basically where we are on the daily. And we just dropped out the bottom of this channel. Now, big question, as always, deviation? Right, we don't know. But what we do know is if we step back in and get that, then this is basically the path that we're going to follow. Yeah. Close back within, retest, in. Hold the midline, retest to range higher. We catch range higher here. We want to see a breakout, retest, and then move up. All right. So looking at that, if we just drop that down onto a 4 hour just very, very quickly, you can get more context and you can see here how you got this beautiful support resistance level. Yeah, deviation, resistance, resistance, above, up to range higher, back down below, deviation, back above, pump, support, resistance, resistance, support all the way through here, resistance. So you can see really nice channel. And within here, like we said, quite simply, we've got a bearish gap. A bearish gap in here. That's currently rejecting price. Either price rejects in here and goes lower, or price comes in, violates this gap, gets ourselves back in the range here, in which case we then look for something like this, all right, to move higher. Really, really simple. If we reject at any of these points and fail and fall back under the levels, then we see weakness and then we look to short it. Jesse, all right, brother. No problem at all. Any questions, you reach out, my friend, all right? So I think that's really, really clean here. But again, in terms of early stage plays, what I really like is the fact that we've had this sweep. Now we're contending with this bearish gap. Quite simply, once again, want to see price. We didn't get that close above, unfortunately. We want to see price close above here, climb back within this channel, and then we are away. If we're looking at it from this perspective as well, we can see we've got a lot of these kind of downside wicks here. You know, if I'm just looking at these here, I'm saying, okay, well, probably a reasonable kind of SR level there as well, right? As we've come in, if we drag that back across to here, we can see we've got this order block as well, leads to the pump, support, support, support. What happens? Price closes underneath. Now we want to see rejection here, right? We might not get it. Well, we don't want to see it, right? We want to see prosperous conditions, but actually I want to see price lower. I really want to be buying more lower down. All right. But ultimately, here's our line in the sand. Close above this, climb back in the range. We're away. You know, as long as we hold this, ultimately, we still need to respect the fact that we are a little bit bearish. Stay blessed yourself, Solomon K, my friend, and everybody else. Now, I know I said I keep this short. I say it every bloody week and never manage to do so, but it's fine. Do love being on the charts with you guys. All right. Again, let's just take a look at our crazy ass Bitcoin squiggles. Everything kind of rolling out as planned, really. The only thing that didn't go as planned is we didn't get the deviation of this level. We didn't get the liquidity sweep. But as soon as we got back above here, we knew on this break here, this was the place to be long. All right. So, you know, people trading in Asia here were having an absolute whale of a time. And now we're just literally waiting. We're looking for these levels. And let's look at this. Yeah. Remember, this is our key level here. This is where we're looking for rejection. I would say that's not the most convincing close above. It's more of a kind of sliver. However, I do think that that's got, I think that's got legs to it. All right. So that's something I'd be looking at there and saying, okay, as long as we hold down, we start to move up. Let's look at the higher time frame play. Yeah, which was first of all to flip this level. So if we do this and bring this across to here, this is what we're looking for. Yeah. And then we need to flip this level here. So we want to see price consolidate above here. And then I think we move. All right. If not, and we start to break back down, just be patient, sit on the sidelines. Don't worry about it. We can find a way to get ourselves involved in the market. No, you're not late. Someone goes, my fault, mate. Unfortunately, I had to knit as well, my friend. I didn't see you sneak in. It's my fault, mate. I had to make it an hour earlier today. Just due to some personal reasons. Got some family stuff going on today. So I'm going to go over and spend a little bit of time with them. I've, you know, like I said, I've been involved from lower down in here. I'm not panicking. I'm sitting on my positions. I'm holding. I'm not really selling in this market at the moment. I'm just looking to add lower. You know, my personal approach to that in terms of my hold bags, in terms of the charts, really simply, we're just looking for either resistance to turn to support or support to turn to resistance. That's how we're kind of basing our plays. All right, legends. Now, please do remember you can come and join us over at the Bird Nest. You can find all the information down in the description. You can come and find and join up with legends like this who are coming in and really kind of changing their lives around. All right, so we can see here members coming in really struggling, starting to kind of put in the hard work. Look, there's nothing easy about what we do. We're not going to sit here and shill you some Discord that has magic answers. We don't. We have an incredibly profitable trading team. You can get access to those trading calls, make some money whilst you're focused on your education. Come and learn from professional traders who have been doing this for a long time. Honestly, blessing of my career has been to manage this team who I do genuinely believe are one of the very best in the world. So come and do that. Come and gobble up all the education resources, everything you can. Come and be part of a massively vibrant community. If that's not something you're able to do, then, don't worry about it. We've got loads of free resources available on the website. You can go and check that out at the BIRB nest.com. Go and check out the infographics. Go and check out the economic calendar, the free screeners that tell you everything that you need to know about that. In fact, let me just show you very quickly, because this is a huge advantage, right, for people coming in, and this is all free. Yeah, so just I know not everybody can take up the memberships, and that really hope you can at some point. But if you can't, go to the birbnest.com. Yeah, go to tools. You've got our breadth charts that are up there every single day, right? These are telling you, look at this. This is telling you you've got everything at a discount at the moment. This is your 200-day moving average. This is where you want to see strength. Look how strong it is. Then the 50-day. Are we still holding strength here? Yes, look, serious strength. What does this mean? That means the dips are for buying, right? Look at this all the way through. What's happened when we've dipped down into these levels where we are now on this? These are the buying opportunities, until it breaks. Don't over question it. Yeah. Then go on to something and look at something like our crypto screener. You want to find things that are bullish on the weekly, ideally bullish on the daily, or have just slipped into bearish on the daily. This is where you find your opportunities. But right now I'm looking at things like Pepe. I'm looking at things like BNB. Why? High time frame strength, low time frame pullback. What do we say about the dips? The dips are for buying. Guys, this is all completely free for you. Come and get, the crypto heat map. Look how well crypto's doing overall, right? All this panic and everything in the market. Look at some of these recoveries. Bitcoin's up, Ethereum's up, Solana's up almost 6% today. We've been talking ages about how that's been lagging. Doge is back up as well. Come and use all of these. They're all here and available for you for free. And you can come on here as well, and you can find our amazing infographics section where we teach you everything from deviations, about how to find divergences, hidden divergences, how you can find the disagreement between the oscillators and price, learn about pattern trading, learn about do's and don'ts of risk management, right? Look at them all. Look how many there are. Come and just absorb it, guys, and come and have a great time, all right? Thank you so much to everybody joining today. About 3,500 of you live today. We'll be back with you again on Monday, and the rest of you legends, I will see around the nest. I will announce it as soon as I can, but we'll have a special holiday live show tomorrow, but we'll cover some education as well as some trading. Have a fantastic week ahead, legends. Trade safe, and I'll catch you all around the nest.